Hey everyone, something very strange is going on in Greece that I have to tell you about, guys. And it's not Santorini this time. There's something going on underwater underneath Santorini as well. I've made a video about this. You should really watch it because it looks like everything's repeating. But now we're talking about Crete. So what is going on there? There's strong ground movements in Voutes in Crete. And it has resulted in cracks appearing in roads and in buildings, and not just super small cracks. It's really visible and it's worrying people. And this has triggered a state of emergency in Crete. So plus evacuations, guys. So what is going on there? It seems it's rumbling everywhere, but there wasn't an earthquake, wasn't there? So what is it? So experts, while we're speaking, are investigating the cause with interesting theories coming from, like, including rotational landslides, possible tectonic faulting, but again, as I said, not linked to any recent earthquake, and potential influence from underground water movements. And here it comes, that's kind of strange, or even burst water pipe. Well, they should be able to find that pretty soon. I don't think that is so likely. So authorities are ensuring everyone that there is no major threat. But again, I'm asking, how can they assure everyone that there is no major threat when they don't know where it's coming from? How can they be sure that not more cracks are opening, that they're getting longer and wider? So the phenomenon, guys, is ongoing, and it has already caused damage to homes and public spaces, including the local church. So let's have a closer look at this. So there's cracks and damage in the village of Voutes near Heraklion. It is experiencing large ground fissures, guys, large ones. Is that a broken water pipe? And cracks that have damaged already approximately 20 homes as we speak. And because the damage is so severe and it's still ongoing, this ground movement is still ongoing. That's why this village has been put, or it has been declared, put under a state of emergency. 9 houses have been deemed unsafe and residents have been evacuated. So investigating the ground cracks or the causes of these cracks should be interesting. The theories like rotational landslides, okay, where are they? Tectonic faulting, well, that is hard to control, or maybe not. I have just released a video that will blow your mind. Greece needs to participate in this. They can now detect fault movements in real time if it moves only as much as the width of one hair, and they can give real-time warnings, and they have done so in the past with participating countries, and it was 90 seconds, guys. That's a lot. And they can not only observe the most dangerous hidden fault lines, underwater faults, Antarctica, also volcanic eruptions, but that's another topic. What's going on here in Greece? So are there underground water movements that are doing this? So what about the tectonic faulting? I mean, it's a very active area. So the cracks could be related to tectonic faulting. That's what seismologists are saying. But since there was no recent earthquake that could have caused this, they're scratching their heads. And it is officially described as ongoing. And officials are saying experts are monitoring the situation. And if you watch my channel more often, you know, the experts, especially at Campi Flegrei, the super volcano near Naples, they're saying, if the authorities are telling you we're monitoring the situation, that doesn't guarantee your safety, because they're monitoring as long as they can tell you, oh no, we're monitoring, it's getting dangerous. And the cracks have also, aside from the homes and the churches and the roads, they have affected utility networks as well. And despite all this still ongoing, the experts are saying that there is no major threat and that the situation is under control. But if you don't know what's causing it, how can it be under control? Boom. That's the question mark that Silky raises again, guys. I'm sure you do too, because we're skeptical what the authorities are saying, aren't we? But let's a little bit cut to the chase here. Crete lies in a seismically active zone, that's no doubt. There's the African plate that subducts beneath the Aegean plate. In addition to the major fault lines off the coast. So smaller local ruptures also crisscross the island's interior. And in 2024, we had around 1,000 earthquakes in this region, most of them microseismic, barely noticeable. And here's the thing, just yesterday, that was after the cracks appeared, there was a 4.5 magnitude earthquake that struck east of the island. So something is definitely going on. And also, what is going on, this phenomenon is not completely new. So that's why the burst pipe theory, I don't think that sticks. So the villages of Voutes, Koules, and Magarikari, they're especially affected by this phenomenon because they lie along a roughly 30-kilometer line that goes northeast southwest, and that marks a striking geological structure across the island. So this has been formed by something. So the first signs were recorded as early as 1960. Of course, they didn't have any sophisticated measuring stations, and then in 2023 they have conducted a study, and it showed that 15% of the buildings that they have examined in the municipality of Faistos, they have done this study for their village, in this historic center, are uninhabitable, and 60% show significant damage. So they should do a big geohazard study for the whole area. I'm surprised that this hasn't been done yet. But what is different from what has happened in the past is that we can say over the past basically week and a half, these ground movements have accelerated significantly. And that's why the authorities, aside from declaring the state of emergency, they have now installed measuring devices to monitor these cracks. Are they growing longer, wider, deeper? So far, it doesn't look like that these cracks are doing something, that they're getting bigger, but this can change at any moment. Population is very concerned, and they're demanding actions to secure their homes and their infrastructure. If you look at the Greek media, it's all over the place. It says mysterious cracks tear roads and houses apart in Cretan village. So this village is close by Heraklion, and people have been horrified, guys, to see these long rifts tearing through roads and through buildings. And we've seen something like this before in Grindavik in Iceland, right? We all still have that in the back of our minds, so that we're thinking, well, something underneath must cause this. And this has just happened in the cause of a few days. No earthquakes, nothing. So nothing has preceded the appearance of these cracks that can extend to 150 meters. That's long. So outside walls of homes, roads. And I mean, 150 meters long, that is substantial. What the mayor of Heraklion says, that's Alexis Kalokarinos, he has inspected the area himself, and he looked at it, and he says the cracks are most likely due to soil subsidence. But why is the soil subsiding? That's the big question. That's why the residents are on high alert, the authorities are on high alert, but also the scientific institutions in Athens. And especially since that turbulent February for Santorini, that has damaged the tourist season somewhat. Now they're saying it's safe, but I have made a video about it. It seems this thing is already preparing for the next one. There's a magma chamber filling up underneath Santorini. You should check that video in the end screen. So this is not good for Greece, right? Crete is another island. Tourists are coming. So what is this? So the head of Greece's Earthquake Planning and Protection Organization, Professor Eftimos Lekas, is expected to arrive during the next few days. And I think he's already there to examine and to have a look at these massive rifts. And they have asked, the village has asked for the assistance of the Infrastructure, Environment and Civil Protection Ministries to assess the situation and ensure that there is no danger for the village and those that live there. Because on this part, at this stage, they need to not only investigate the current cracks, they also need to find out whether this is likely to spread to neighboring areas and also to take immediate responses on measurements into account. And the problem is, if you look at that village, it's at an elevated position. That's why landslides, you would see them, right? Of course, this might be prone to landslides. It's located at an elevation of 240 meters, and it's roughly 12 kilometers away from Heraklion. And it has roughly 700 permanent residents. So they already had a strong earthquake in the late 19th century that has really completely, I don't want to say wiped out, but damaged this village already. So of course, this raises concern. If you're sitting on a hill and they're telling you it's cracking because of land subsidence, is something giving way? It doesn't mean the landslide already happened. Maybe something is breaking apart and giving way until it really starts to slide. So I don't think the situation is under control, and I also don't think it's safe. And that kind of matches with what they have declared, because they have declared the state of emergency for at least 1 month. So another theory is, aside from the burst pipe, they think it's like a high accumulation of liquefaction in the soil. That's also not good, because that could trigger a landslide as well. Hopefully that whole hill is not breaking apart. So the main two cracks or rifts, because they're so long, that have caused the most damage, or it's only these two, they are really significant, and they go right through the village, through homes, churches, and a playground. And what the scientists are saying that have looked at it, they said it's important to see what we will do from now on. So the scientists are not really on the side of this burst pipe. So some that have already been there say we have to look at our data, and then maybe we will know if it's due to a major landslide, a tectonic breakthrough, a tectonic line, or a liquefaction. And some citizens say that they heard some noises, but they did not realize from the beginning that this was when the cracks were created. So it has been rumbling, but has it been trembling? It doesn't seem so. Nothing has been recorded. So now they're recording data with drones and high definition systems, and then they need to observe the next measurements in order to identify possible deformations. And again, I just released a video with a technology that could solve that problem in real time. Poof! They would know already. They would have probably known before it even happened. Many other experts are also saying the area's topography, the soil composition are key factors behind that phenomenon. They say the cracks is a result of rotational landslides, and the risk increases due to clay-rich geological composition. So let's translate this. What does that mean? what is a rotational landslide, and you see it on the graphic behind me. It looks a little bit different than the usual landslides that we're talking about. So it's known as a slump. That's a type of landslide that involves the downward and upward movement of a mass of soil or rocks along a curved surface, as you can see in the picture behind me. And rotational landslide often occur in areas with slopes or hillside that have a concave slope and shape. So where the slope changes from steeper at the top to gentler at the bottom. They typically occur in materials that have distinct layers or weak zones, such as basically layers of clay or silt or sand that have different strength or stiffness. And the interesting thing with these kind of landslides, they're usually slow moving. They can happen like moving at only a few millimeters or centimeters per year until you really see something sliding down. So what we're seeing here in Crete, that might be the first signs that something's separating off that hill. And that process might have been ongoing for years. And now it's more significant. So guys, quick information for you. I'll stay on this. I will let you know if things develop. I hope you liked it, and really check out the videos in the end screen. It's really, really interesting stuff, guys. If you're new here, please subscribe and click the notification bell so that you can be notified when I release something new about what Mother Earth is doing with us, to itself, what is happening, guys. Volcanoes, tectonic plates, earthquakes, all that stuff. So thanks for watching. If you want to support the channel, check the links in the description. I have a Buy Me a Coffee site, buymeacoffee.com/silky. Thanks for the supers here. And if you want to become a supporting member of the channel, also click the join button or the link in the description. Stay safe, guys. I see you very soon. Bye-bye.